Hello. Um, Good afternoon. I am back with a super cute new overlay. I'm very excited about the work that I did on this one. But it looks different from the one you guys have seen before because it's specifically for paths to pre-approval. That is what we're discussing today. Path to pre-approval is back. If you have been following me for a while, you'll know that a few months ago I introduced this program that I designed to help the people who say, oh, I want to purchase a home, but I'm not ready. Or I don't think I'm ready. Or I don't know what I have to do to get ready. So Path to Pre-Approval is a personalized program with one-on-one consulting directly with a mortgage loan originator, usually me, to prepare and position you for the most seamless home buying process possible. So, a few weeks ago, we had our first closing for a path to pre-approval client. And while he was going through the process, he said, I feel like I learned almost all of this um, during our sessions. And that is the point of this. As he was going through the process, it felt familiar. The information felt familiar. The numbers were different because they were real numbers with a real home. But hearing, okay, now it's time for you to pay for your appraisal, didn't catch him off guard because we talked about that in the sessions to get ready for the mortgage process. When we talked about closing costs and down payment assistance, we already knew what down payment assistance program he was going to use when he started the process. That is what Path to Pre-Approval is about. It's about helping you get ready and also helping you understand what is entailed in the mortgage process. You hear people say, oh my God, I've never been through anything like that. And that's true. There's nothing like the mortgage process, but it doesn't have to be this big scary thing that you know absolutely nothing about. So today we're going to talk a little bit about what the program entails, how it works, and I'll share the link for those of you who want to sign up. I am doing this with see, I am doing this without being able to see what without being able to see what you guys are saying. And I know there's a way for me to see what you're saying. But I don't remember how. So give me just a second for people who may join and ask questions, because I do want to be able to answer any questions that people ask live. Like I said, I'm going to share the link as well, but I also want to be able to see what y'all are saying as I work or as I talk, not work. This isn't very worky. It gets worky once we get into the sessions. Looks like I don't remember how. And probably can't worry about that at this point. All right, there's one more thing over here that I can take a look at. Oh, there it is. Okay, I found it. Okay, hello, hi. So if we do get any questions while I'm live, I'll pin them and answer them so that you guys know. So that anybody who has questions while we're live, they can get an answer immediately. So, Path to Pre-Approval is a 6-week one-on-one personalized program designed to help you get ready for the mortgage buying process, the mortgage loan process, or the home buying process. It is, when I say 6 weeks, once a week, we meet generally virtually for about 30 minutes. And we cover every aspect of what is considered when it's time for you to get pre-approved for a mortgage loan. The first session is kind of like we meet each other. It's a consultation. Hey, who are you? I'm Sharice. I'm your friendly neighborhood mortgage loan originator. And we discuss what will happen over the next over the next 5 sessions. I start the sessions by finding out who you are, like your actual name, where you live. Do you rent? Do you already own? Do you live with your parents and not have to pay rent? Because that has bearing on how the mortgage process goes. If you're currently in a lease, then we have to know if you're trying to move at the end of the lease. Do you plan to break the lease? That helps us determine how much time you have for house shopping. We do all of that, and then we also decide how we're going to pull your credit. So we have 2 options. I can pull your credit. You get the hard inquiry, which is generally, if you lose points, it's usually no more than 3 points. And 3 points is very negligible when it comes to, it should be very negligible when it comes to a score. If you're that close to the cusp of qualifying, then you probably still have some more work to do, not just on your credit score, but maybe in your habit forming. If you are barely qualifying and 3 points make the difference of whether or not you can get a loan and you can't, whether or not you can get a loan or you cannot, you may still have some habits to work on, or some balances to pay down. They may be too close to the limits. But we'll talk about all of that, about a little bit more about how credit works in one of the sessions. But an inquiry should never cause you to lose enough points for you to not qualify for whatever you're trying to qualify for. Just keep that in your back pocket, because they're not the amount of points that an inquiry costs you, if it costs you any, is so negligible that if you're on the edge, you probably still have a little bit more work to do. And that's fine. Everybody's not ready on day one, but also getting past the point where 3 points makes or breaks you isn't the hardest thing in the world either, because clearly you're almost there, just a little bit more work to do. So we talk about how we're going to pull your credit. The options are, I pull your credit. If I pull your credit, we work through the program, you get pre-approved, I don't have to pull your credit again for 4 months. If you close within 4 months on your house, there's not another hard credit pull from me. We may do some confirming about the things that are on your credit report, but as far as a full another hard inquiry, that's not something that will have to happen for another 4 months. But if you're not comfortable with me pulling your credit, I ask you to pull my FICO report so that we can get your mortgage scores and an accurate accounting of what's on your credit. That is a subscription. Excuse me. So there are some people who already have it, where they can give me the credit report and I don't have to pull their credit because they've been keeping up with it and they can just give me the report. But if the people who can't, who don't have that account, you can get my FICO and pull your own credit report if you want to do that, since you want to be tracking it anyway. But we make that determination on the first session. If you say, no, Sharice, I'm going to go ahead and let you do it, I'm going to send you my app, because that is how we do mortgages with my current company. I send you an app, you download it, you do the application, and I get your information securely, digitally, and then I run your credit, so that in our next session, we review your credit report and discuss what we see. So session 1, week 1, introductory questions, where we set expectations for what's about to happen over the next 5 weeks. So session number 2, we review your credit report. We talk about the scores, of course. We discuss whether or not we see any judgments or liens, because those matter. And then we talk about the debts and liabilities that are there. What we see on the credit report is what we use to determine your debt to income ratio. The only additional things that get considered outside of what shows up on your credit report are things that have gone through a process in court, child support, alimony, or payment plans to the IRS for taxes. But things like insurance, like your car insurance, your rent, your utility bill, those are not things that get calculated into your debt to income ratio. So we review your credit report. We talk about all of those things. If there are things that need to be rectified based on what we see, we talk about that. Like if I see that you have a current account that's already 30 days past due, I'm immediately going to tell you, hey, you need to make sure you get this up to date. Or we'll talk about things that may need to be paid off, or payment plans established for them. We talk about everything that we see on your credit report and how those things affect your mortgage process. So week 3 is when we discuss income and employment. We talk about if you're a W-2 employee, if you have self-employed income, if you have income like disability, court-ordered child support, SSI. We talk about those things. What money is coming in? What is considered income? How long you have to be receiving some incomes for us to be able to calculate it? How long it's supposed to go on to determine whether or not we can calculate it? Not in run you low. And listen, and it's nothing we can do about it. Like if you have a court order for child support, one of my questions is going to be, hey, do you have a court order? We get it. We take it into account, and we see how we can work around it. Or we talk about, because child support isn't something you can change. That's not an amount you can change yourself. But if we say, okay, his child support is $800 a month, are there any other things that we can pay off or pay down to offset that, to make sure that he can qualify for a mortgage? But that's the type of conversations. I'm glad you said that. But those are the types of conversations that we have during your path to pre-approval sessions. When you go to seminars, they can be really beneficial. They can be really informative, but they're not about you. The difference with path to pre-approval is it is about you. You don't have to go home and say, okay, I learned at the seminar that this counts, but I don't know what it means. That is what we do in path to pre-approval. So we talk about W-2 or self-employed income, which one you have, how it works, what we use to calculate it, the length of time in your job or the length of time that you've had self-employed income. And then we discuss that income with those debts that we reviewed the week before and come up with your front end debt to income ratio. Basically, before you get a mortgage, how much of your income is obligated to debts and liabilities. Once we know your DTI, we determine. So let me take a step back. Every week, we determine if this element of what we're looking at. Last week it was credit. This week is income. Can I continue to move forward in the process with these credit scores? Can I continue to move forward in the process with this debt to income ratio? Every week we assess if this number needs work or if this element needs work. If it does, we talk about what it needs, generally how long it might take you. And if it's not something that's immediate, like you have something that needs to be paid off, but you plan to pay it off in 2 days, something that takes time, then we'll transition you from a weekly regimen to a monthly regimen where we check in. Hey, how's it going with bringing up your credit score by paying these things down? How's it coming with your new job? You've got to be on it for 60 days. Are you still employed? Are you ready to get back into it? We'll talk about all of those things. So after we talk about if your credit works, then the next step is we talk about if your debt to income ratio works. If those two things work, we move on to assets. And assets are, we talk about what is eligible for you to use. That money that is in a shoebox under the floorboard at your daddy's cousin's auntie house is not eligible. Like, we talk about money that you may have or money that you have access to and whether or not it can be used during the mortgage process. There are some types of accounts, savings accounts, that are accessible, but you've been told, oh, I can't access this till I'm 65 and a half. 62 and a half. Maybe not. But we talk about what you have and whether or not you can use that when it comes to the home buying process. So we also talk about whether or not, this is the place where we talk about if down payment assistance is something you're interested in and if it's an option for the file that you have. We talk about what closing costs and down payment amounts might look like based on how much house you think you want. All of this is in the assets section. So then after we've discussed, your credit, your income, your assets, we move on to home buyer education. Because while I am super knowledgeable, fantastic at what I do, a lot of times, the mortgage you get is going to require you to have formal home buyer education that ends in a certificate. Some down payment assistance programs require you to have formal home buyer education that ends with a certificate. So we talk about those programs, which ones that you might need to do or you should do based on what we've discussed already. I get it to you, confirm that you've done it, answer any questions that you have about it. Like I was telling you about my other client that went through path to pre-approval, when he was doing the class, he remembered, while the class was informative and gave him what he needed, he remembered a lot of the answers from the things that we discussed during our sessions in path to pre-approval. So we talk about that and whether it's a requirement. And if it is a requirement, we get you in there doing it. We get you, if you have questions about it, I help you work through those questions. We make sure you have your certificate. So we've done all of this. And like I said, at every step, if there's anything that disqualifies you or causes you to need a plan versus a pre-approval, we do that. But after that, you're good to go. And then the last week, the 6th week, you either get a plan with, a digital plan that I provide you, or you get a pre-approval and a toolkit of materials. You get an agent referral, you get a home buyer handbook, you get templates for any type of letter that you might need during the mortgage process, which is also something that we talk about during your sessions. And you're on your way to owning your own home. I will not say it's the easiest thing in the world, but it is not as hard as the world has made it out to be, particularly when you're working with a licensed professional as you go through the process. So what I'm going to do now is put the link to the path to pre-approval intake form. If this is something, and everybody that I have worked with, yes, sure, maybe they're telling me this because it's my program. Maybe not. Maybe it really is good and it works for them. But what I'm going to do is put that link in the comments so that if it is something that you're interested in, I want you guys to be able to join. Spots are limited, absolutely limited, because like I said, this is a one-on-one program, meaning you are getting undivided attention. This is not people speaking to a group where I'm getting up and having a session and talking. This is personalized to you, your income, your credit, your home buying goals. So slots are limited. I went live a few days ago, so a couple of them are already taken, but there is still room. Hallelujah. There is still room for now. So if you have any questions about the program, if you have any questions about what I do, general questions, feel free. I'm going to also add my business contact here. My current work email address. And you can also follow me here wherever you're seeing this. But my Instagram, TikTok, and even on Facebook, you can find me at MLO Sharice. Reach out via DM, comment on a post. But I am here to help people understand what they're doing so that as they do it, they're not just being carried through the process. They understand what's happening. They can ask informed questions. They can be an informed buyer as they work through this. So I have been able to see this from my my professional page. Let me just make sure that there aren't any questions on my personal page. I'm sharing it to both. But I wanted to get on, let you guys know that Paths of Preapproval is live again and accepting new clients. I'll post the graphic at some point this afternoon for people who may not have seen this live with the link there. But like I said, slots are limited. We'll go through this cohort, hopefully have more success stories like we had from our last, and get you guys in a home. And even if we don't, you're equipped with the knowledge for when you are ready. And that is my goal every day, all day, is to make sure that people have the knowledge that they need to make informed decisions about whether or when to purchase a home. So, questions, comments, if you have concerns, questions and comments, call me, text me, DM me, or email me, and hopefully I can, and if I don't know the answer, I'll find it for you. Otherwise, I'll talk to you guys soon.